This is CBN News Watch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Gary Lane. We begin this half hour in the Middle East. The White House says a deal for a ceasefire and release of some hostages is about 90% done. However, as Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, the deal revolves around a strategic piece of land along the Egyptian-Gazan border.
Even though it says a deal is close, the White House admits Hamas's terror tactic of threatening to execute more hostages and having just killed 6 last week is pressuring negotiators to seal a ceasefire deal, while at the same time making it harder to engage in talks with Hamas.
And absolutely created a sense of even greater urgency to get the deal. It also underscores how difficult it is to negotiate with a guy like Mr. Sinwar.
Despite an administration denial, Israel says a possible hostage deal revolves around the fate of the Philadelphia corridor, which Hamas can use to smuggle weapons into Gaza and threaten Israel again. At his press conference this week, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said control of this strategic land is crucial to achieving the goals of Israel's war to defeat Hamas.
You want to destroy Hamas's military and governing capabilities, you can't let Hamas rearm. It's obvious. So you have to control the corridor.
Netanyahu says letting Hamas control the corridor again is an invitation to another October 7th.
So people said, yeah, but if you stay, this will kill the deal. And I say, such a deal will kill us.
Netanyahu says control of the corridor is also vital to prevent Hamas from smuggling the hostages out of Gaza. Reportedly, Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar planned to use the tunnels along the corridor to leave Gaza with the hostages and flee to Iran. Tens of thousands of Israelis have taken to the streets to pressure Netanyahu to accept a deal that would give up control of the corridor and release the hostages. Columnist Melanie Phillips noted despite the thousands on the streets, most Israelis get this. In one opinion poll, 79% agreed that Israel needed to control the Philadelphia permanently to prevent weapon smugglings from Egypt to Gaza. And even as the Biden administration pushes Israel for a ceasefire deal, Netanyahu points out that Israel has accepted U.S. proposal 3 times already this year, but Hamas has rejected them. Amid the talks for a deal, Israel's warfare goes on as the IDF takes out more Palestinian terrorists, while also being hit with more than 1,300 rockets from Hezbollah in August alone, the most since October 7th. Still, for now, the focus is on the hostage talks and the murder of those 6 captives. In Jerusalem, hundreds of Israelis came to sit Shiva, the traditional Jewish 7 days of mourning, with Rachel and Joan Goldberg Poland. Some waiting for hours just to sit for a few moments with the grieving parents, whose son, Israeli-American Hirsch, was murdered by Hamas, along with 5 other Israelis.
That was a body blow, which has affected my neighborhood since one of the hostages, Hirsch, Goldberg Poland, is from our neighborhood. But all of Israel suffers from this. And our friends suffer from this. And our friends are praying with us, which we appreciate.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
13 evangelical Christians are among 135 political prisoners released Thursday morning from a Nicaraguan prison. The 13 worked with the Texas-based Mountain Gateway Ministry and are now safe in Guatemala. Their arrest came last December after more than 1 million people attended several revival meetings held at stadiums throughout the country. Mountain Gateway President Britt Hancock lobbied the U.S. State Department and members of Congress for months, enlisting their help to get the Christians freed. I asked him to share his reaction about receiving the good news.
We're just elated, and Jesus is so faithful, and I feel like I could just bite nails. I'm so excited. But right now, we're just so thankful today to the Lord Jesus and to all of you that prayed for us, and to CBN for helping us raise awareness, because that was part of this campaign to convince the Nicaraguan government to have mercy and turn our people loose.
2 Gateway leaders released from prison Thursday were reunited with their young children. One child is less than a year old, the other is 3. The couple last saw their children more than 8 months ago. shortly after the youngest was born. In recent months, the Nicaraguan government has used anti-money laundering statutes to justify shutting down churches, banning civil groups, and arresting church leaders. Before their release Thursday, the Nicaraguan government had sentenced the Mountain Gateway pastors to 12 to 15 years in prison and fined them a total of $1 billion. While Hunter Biden remains a free man for now, that could change in December at his sentencing hearing after he pled guilty to federal tax charges. As John Jessup explains, that could mean jail time for the president's son.
While Hunter Biden no longer faces a jury of his peers, his guilty plea means he could face up to 17 years in prison and more than $1 million in fines. Biden remained silent, refusing to answer questions as he left the U.S. District Court in California. But inside, he uttered the word guilty 9 times, pleading guilty to 3 felony and 6 misdemeanor charges on $1.4 million in back taxes he owed, but has since paid. Before the dramatic courtroom confession, he initially tried to enter what's known as an Alford plea, which allows him to maintain his innocence while acknowledging that the evidence likely would lead to a guilty verdict. Leo Wise, a federal prosecutor working on the case, protested, saying, "I want to make crystal clear. The U.S. opposes an Alford plea. Hunter Biden is not innocent. He is guilty." The special counsel's case alleges a 4-year pattern in which Biden did not pay federal taxes, failed to file federal income taxes, and sent false tax returns. In a statement, Biden saying, "Like millions of Americans, I failed to file and pay my taxes on time. For that, I am responsible. As I have stated, addiction is not an excuse, but it is an explanation for some of my failures at issue in this case." Biden's attorney telling the court Thursday the surprise decision was made to spare his family from being called in as witnesses to testify about personal details of Hunter's life as a drug addict, like they did at Biden's firearms trial in Delaware. The jury there found him guilty in that case in June.
Hunter decided to enter his plea to protect those he loves from unnecessary hurt and cruel humiliation.
But his attorney later refusing to say whether Biden will seek action from the president.
Has Hunter spoken to Biden about a possible pardon? Does he expect a pardon? Does he expect jail time, sir?
The White House, after the guilty plea, standing by the president's past remarks in which he said he will not pardon his son. Hunter's December 16th sentence comes a month after his sentencing on the gun charges in November. The judge in his tax case could take into account that Biden has paid his taxes in full, but will also weigh his felony conviction in Delaware. John Jessup, CBN News, Washington.
Coming up, sounding the alarm on terror threats to the homeland. See what security experts say should be done to prevent a future attack. Stay with us. You're watching CBN News Watch.
Hi, I'm Charlene Aaron. At CBN, we're here to pray for you all year long. But did you know that each fall, the entire staff of CBN sets aside a very special time to pray especially for you? We have seen tremendous miracles happen as a result of these prayers. Please call or send in your prayer requests today. No matter how big or small your need is, we consider it a great honor and privilege to pray for you.
Welcome back to CBN News Watch. A deadly terrorist attack could happen here in America in the near future. That's a word from national security insiders. Their concerns are similar to the warnings before 9/11. That's why experts are urging the government to use everything it's learned in the interim to prevent another attack. National security correspondent Caitlin Burke brings us the story.
According to top intelligence officials, 3 different terror threat categories have been identified: international, domestic, and state-sponsored. They add that right now, warning lights on all 3 are flashing red.
As I look back over my career in law enforcement, I would be hard-pressed to think of a time where so many threats to our public safety and national security were so elevated all at once.
Sounding the alarm multiple times to lawmakers, FBI Director Christopher Wray testified following the October 7th attack in Israel that the international threat is especially concerning.
These are terrorist organizations that don't typically see eye to eye, but they seem to be united in one thing, which is calling for attacks on us.
Senior defense officials echoing Wray's concern. In March, CENTCOM Commander General Michael Kurilla singled out ISIS-K gaining strength in the Middle East, with at least 5,000 fighters whose whereabouts are currently unknown.
ISIS Khorasan retains the capability and will to attack U.S. and Western interests abroad in as little as 6 months and with little to no warning.
Most Americans have forgotten we remain at war against ISIS-K, and we've been killing a bunch of them, thank goodness.
Harvard professor Graham Allison, who served at the Pentagon in the first Clinton administration, recently joined former Deputy CIA Director Michael Morell in using Foreign Affairs magazine to send their message. They write that lawmakers should not dismiss the instincts and expertise of government officials whose warnings in the past have led to government response.
Before the year 2000, when the calendar was just turning over, there was a lot of concern because in the terrorist community, they were talking about this would be a good time for disrupting the U.S. The intelligence community took it very seriously. President Clinton took it very seriously and said, do whatever you can. So they went back and searched all of the traces of evidence about terrorists and almost by accident found a piece of information about an individual who then was stopped when he was trying to drive his car across the border from Canada, going to LA airport, where he had explosives in his car that was going to produce a big terrorist attack.
Allison also points to recent terrorism in Europe as significant. Russia already seeing 2 attacks this year, the first in March with ISIS-K attacking a concert hall, and 3 months later, a deadly attack on churches and synagogues. ISIS, meanwhile, is threatening the upcoming Paris Olympics.
So this same group whom we're at war with, whom we're actually killing, has made repeated statements about their intention to conduct a terrorist attack against us. So I would take them seriously.
Meanwhile, here at home, individuals associated with Islamic terror organizations are crossing the southern border into the U.S. The FBI arrested 8 men from Tajikistan just last month. All entered illegally, yet still underwent vetting before being allowed in.
At this point, they're not worried about sneaking into the country. They're already here. At this point, they're in the planning stages or in the operational phase where they're looking at targets.
Former intelligence official Michael Pregent says 30 years of counterterrorism experience leads him to believe America is most likely to experience an attack after the November presidential election.
If I'm a terrorist leader, I don't attack before that. I get everything in place. We see what happens with the election. I'll have people harass polling sites and keep people from voting on election day.
Both Allison and Pregent stress the president's primary responsibility as commander-in-chief is to keep America safe, and that must remain the priority even during a chaotic election year. Allison adds the Biden administration must act as its predecessors, ordering the intelligence community to remain on high alert and not hesitating to launch a comprehensive counterterrorism campaign. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Still ahead, the rock band 3 Doors Down shares a special message for concert attendees. We'll have that story and more in the top 5 stories making headlines in the world of entertainment. Stay with us. Welcome back to CBN Newswatch. Dennis Quaid's Reagan has opened in box offices, doubling expectations, while rock band 3 Doors Down shared an unexpected message for concert attendees. Ephraim Graham shares these stories and more in this week's countdown of the top 5 stories making headlines in the world of entertainment.
At number 5. Righteous headlines for a rock band.
Brad Arnold, lead singer of the rock band 3 Doors Down, had some unexpected comments during a concert in Pennsylvania.
This world surrounds us by a message that will never be good enough. My friends, I just want to take a second to tell you that that's an absolute lie. You are loved. And you'll always be enough for one reason. And that's because Jesus Christ loves you.
At number 4.
Because of you, our enemy lives.
A theme of good versus evil. The hit Prime Video series, The Lord of the Rings of Power, is back for a second season. The epic drama is set thousands of years before the events of Tolkien's The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, as they fight the evil in the second age of Middle-earth. And our Studio 5 has this exclusive behind-the-scenes look.
Good and evil are very clearly defined in Tolkien, and he has a very strong sense of right and wrong, and that's present in all the work.
Sauron is the ultimate utilitarian. He knows exactly how to heal Middle-earth, and no matter who he has to betray, kill, everyone else is just standing in the way.
He deceived me. No, Galadriel, you were blind.
At number 3, a football player and his faith are front-page news. Ricky Pearsall, the San Francisco 49ers first-round pick in this year's NFL draft, who was shot in the chest during a robbery Saturday, was released from the hospital Sunday afternoon.
He was walking alone when a suspect approached him and attempted to commit an armed robbery using a gun.
Pearsall's mother, Erin Pearsall, posted on Facebook that while her son was shot, the bullet exited his back and did not hit any vital organs. She said, "Update on my baby boy. First and foremost, I want to thank God for protecting my baby boy. He is extremely lucky. God shielded him. My son was spared today by the grace of God."
At number 2. And a new baby makes a family of 3 for Justin and Haley Bieber, who celebrate the arrival of Jack Blues Bieber. Page 6 spotted the new dad leaving church solo in Beverly Hills just days ago.
But I just keep on saying.
At number 1.
I call upon the scientific community, those who gave us nuclear weapons, to turn their great talents now to the cause of mankind and world peace.
Dennis Quaid's Reagan opens earning nearly double expectations at more than $9 million and finishing 3rd at the box office. You, in this story, explore more of his faith than people are probably used to seeing.
Well, it's because it was such a huge part of his life. It was an everyday part of his life, starting from as a young boy. He even made the decision on his own to be baptized at that time.
Dutch, there's a purpose for your life.
You can run from a bully for so long, but after a while, you're going to have to stand up to him. It's my boy!
His mother was his rock. That's another way that we're very similar. And he had an alcoholic father, which is kind of similar. That does something to a person, and you need a rock in life, and he found that early on.
Coming up, see how this family turned a bad situation into an opportunity to display faith and forgiveness. Stay with us. You're watching CBN News Watch.
Download the CBN News app, 24/7 news from a Christian perspective at home or on the road. One place for all of your news. Breaking news alerts. Set daily prayer goals and pray for news stories. Read the most important news and watch CBN News Channel live. CBN News, because truth matters. Go to cbnnewsapp.com to get the app today.
Come back to CBN News Watch. A small-time crime in a Virginia neighborhood sparked a big community response after a man robbed their children's lemonade stand. The Caldwell family turned it into a powerful message of faith and forgiveness. CBN's Brody Carter reports.
During the dog days of summer, 10-year-old Rebecca Caldwell and her 8-year-old brother Joshua were selling lemonade in front of their home in Chesapeake, Virginia, when a stranger seemingly stopped to buy a drink.
Seemed super nice.
That turned out not to be the case when the man took their $40 in earnings and sped off.
Yeah, I was really upset, and my husband was on the phone with me when it happened.
Home security footage shows the man approaching the stand and grabbing the money jar while their mother was inside. The robbery could have left the family disheartened, but instead they chose to focus on prayer and forgiveness.
Why did you pray for the man who stole your money?
Because I wanted him to become a Christian.
Rebecca and Joshua, along with their parents, quickly forgave the man who stole from them.
I just think it's better to forgive than just to always be mad at the guy, because then you're just like always gonna think back on that day and be like, oh, I'm so mad at that guy.
When life handed these two young entrepreneurs a sour situation, the community really stepped up to help and gave them something that was much sweeter.
This has been incredible, mind-blowing. I mean, it's just so overwhelming.
A week after the robbery, the community came together and helped the Caldwell family raise more than $6,200 in donations at a special lemonade event.
All the people were really nice, and I got to ride on one of their motorcycles.
Immediately, there was so much support coming out of it that it's like, you know, we're blessed by this whole thing. I mean, yeah, something bad happened for a moment, but ever since that moment, it's just been blessing after blessing.
As news stations spread their story across the country, the Caldwells are using their time in the spotlight to share the gospel.
We've talked a lot about forgiveness in our interviews. Some people have asked why we choose to forgive.
Taping this heartfelt message to the lemonade stand, the Caldwells pointed those who stopped by toward the cross, turning their experience into a powerful testimony.
If God can do all this through a lemonade stand, he can do it through anything. He can do the impossible. We just want people to know that God forgave us, and so we can forgive other people.
Rebecca and Joshua, the youngest of 7 siblings, plan to use some of the funds raised for their oldest sister's missionary trip to Asia, with the rest going towards some new toys, like a 4-wheeler and a dirt bike. The Caldwell story is a powerful reminder that when life hands you lemons, you can turn them into lemonade, and with faith and love, you might just find yourself getting something far sweeter. Brody Carter, CBN News.
The suspect is facing a felony charge of grand larceny. Well, that's it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Also, tell us what you think about the stories you've seen by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.